Starting the questions with Senator Tester of Montana.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Brown. I appreciate your courtesy. Chairman Gensler, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. You know, as many of the folks know, I'm somebody that's still involved in production agriculture. If I don't cut the crop doesn't get cut. The question is this: I wish we were all in a situation where we didn't need access to capital, but we need access to capital. I wish we were in a situation where I didn't have to sell grain to, multinational corporations that I believe need some regulation on them because I think they control the marketplace far too much. But unfortunately, that's where we're at. Every once in a while in the mail, far too often, in my opinion, I'll get a survey as to how much grain I raise and how much grain I have on hand and how many cattle I have and chickens and pigs and horses. It's a real pain in the butt. And the problem is you get to do this over and over and over again. So surveys aren't something that I'm real crazy about, okay, because I'm busy trying to make a living. We have had previous conversations about making sure that the proposed climate rule does not lead to burdensome reporting requirements, to add additional workload, pain in the neck, and I'm being generous when I say pain in the neck, to agricultural producers who do business with publicly traded company, which, by the way, is by far and away the vast majority of folks in production agriculture. I appreciate you've been receptive to those concerns. We have discussed previously in this hearing that it is not the Commission's intent to have farmers or ranches in Montana or any other state or any other producers have to report on goods that they sell to publicly traded company. I want to make sure that that still stands true. Is that right?
That does stand right, sir. We oversee public companies. That's it. One, we're not a climate regulator. We're a securities regulator. And right now, just to give you an example of the top 1,000 companies by market cap, about 80% of them make climate risk disclosures. But we're just trying to bring some comparability to that. And we've heard from not just you, but from many farmers and ranchers across this great land, from a lot of small and medium-sized enterprises who've said, look, we don't want to fill out the surveys, as you said. And so I've asked staff to really take a close look at those comments to make sure that we're only regulating the public companies and not somehow indirectly those private companies.
You're fully aware that it's going to take more than your intent for this to happen. Bleed down of regulation is something that happens all the time. And I just want to make sure that it is crystal clear that people in production agriculture are not going to be faced with these surveys.
No, and I can't prejudge a final rule. It does take 5 of us on the commission to push out a final rule, but staff has heard these comments. There's thousands of them, and I've asked staff to come up with solutions.
Okay, so walk us through, that you answered my next question with that answer, but walk us through for the companies required report scope 3 emissions. What do you envision that reporting would look like?
Well, again, because public companies currently report some greenhouse gas emissions, that's which they produce, so-called scope 1, and as you called it, scope 3, their supply chain. That is not as well developed currently. And in our proposal, we said that no private entity, farmers, ranchers, small businesses, needed to report that. And that the public company, if they're reporting it and they found it material, they could estimate it. But we've heard comments that wasn't good enough from you and from others, and that's where we're looking about how we can find appropriate path forward. Because again, about 80% of the top 1,000 companies are currently reporting on climate risk. Over 50+% are reporting scope 1 and 2, not scope 3. And so we're looking through that.
Okay, and it is important to note that these are publicly traded companies. A lot of family farms have incorporated, but they're not publicly traded.
That's correct, sir. And our jurisdiction is just over those publicly traded, or in public registrants, I'll call it.
Correct. With respect to the chairman, I hope somebody gets into crypto, but I would love to find out what you're doing to protect consumers there. I yield, Mr. Chairman.